All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is Futures Brizio. It's 2:47 on Friday, August 15th. Hope everybody's had a good week and closing out the week here in the markets. And so, as usual, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and any questions or comments, of course, leave them down below. So, per usual, we're just going to jump in here, take a look at where we're at, kind of wrapping the day here. Our markets are, some markets still open. Obviously, these ag markets are closed for the week. So we'll just jump right in, do a quick review, see what happened today, and then we'll wrap this up. So we'll start here on Hogs. I mentioned this yesterday that at least on the 4-hour chart that, I was looking at this as a potential swing point. That's kind of where I gauge like a recent high or swing high or swing low on these mid-range time frames. And the 4 hours just kind of my go-to one. And in this market, the 6 hour is also a good one too. I know these candlesticks look a little weird on a 6-hour chart. And the reason why is because this market is only open essentially 5.5 hours a day. So you don't get two complete candles on a time frame like this in an entire session. So that's why you're always going to have one decent sized one and one little tiny one, because the tiny one is the one that started to form when the market closed for the day. Okay. But the one thing I like about this 6-hour time frame is in a trend continuation, it almost tells you when the trend's going to continue. If you look at these, although it's not perfect, and again, you got to use market structure. But if you look like in this recent price action, we had, as soon as price starts to turn, the candles start to turn bearish again, you're looking for a downtrend here, then, there you go. And then currently we've ended the day with a bullish candle, although it's off the highs for the day. And so, let's see what happens next week. So I maintain my same position on this as I had yesterday. Essentially, I'm still looking for shorts on this because we have this swing from here. I just don't get too caught up anymore in what's already happened. I'll use some of this previous history to, look for areas of management if I'm in a trade. But in terms of like saying, well, what's it doing to the left here? It doesn't matter. This is old news, right? So what I like to do is find high or low swing points on the chart and go from there. So to me, we're still kind of set up here to go short. Now, again, I've got this line drawn right here. Essentially, if price manages to get back above this zone right here, and again, we can draw it on the whole wick here if we want. Basically anything underneath here is still a downtrend as far as I'm concerned. Now, on a shorter time frame, again, on short time frames, yes, you could trade this move back up. But I'm waiting for swing trades. And, the thing is, these markets like hogs and cattle move very slow generally because they are only open a very limited part of the day. And once that move for the day happens, then that's it. The market closes and it's done for the day. So you do have to be patient. But when it does finally go, you can do really well with this if you're on the right side. So I'm going to be patient here and wait and see what happens next week. And like I said, if we paint a bearish candle here, especially if I start seeing it on the shorter time frame, looks like it's starting to break structure, then I will take a short here. Okay. And I can also look too here on the stochastic indicator to see if, we get it to cross back out of this overbought area, such as what we saw here. And that would be another potential confirmation too. All right, so that's hogs. Nothing doing today, obviously. So here on cattle, and as I said with cattle yesterday, I did have some concerns about this uptrend because, again, we had this normal pullback right here, and then again, price went up, and then it didn't get very far, and then we had this another big giant bearish candle that pulled back inside the range of this one, and then when it came off of here, so we maintained this structure on this pullback. It failed to put in a new high. In fact, it didn't even come back to the previous high up here. And then it's just been kind of range bound today. And you can see even today, so I marked off this little swing point right here, which is not really a valid swing to trade off of, because this did not lead to a new high. So, and it doesn't look like it's going to. But it is a zone to watch, basically between these two red lines here to support this market. So any break below, this zone, essentially anywhere in between these two red lines, we get a nice strong close. This market's probably going to go down. Now, like I said, cattle has been trading in a bull tear for literally 4 years. So I'm not going to be the one getting in the middle of the freight train. But this is the first time, at least in recent price history, that we've seen things start to really slow down and seem like the sellers really want to kind of take over in here, because they're not, at least through today and really all week, we have not been able to break through these old highs up here. Each one of these, like basically 2 candles, represents a day of price action. So we essentially have most of this week contained right in here, and we were not able to make a new high basically the whole week. Today is the 15th. So this is the 7th. Let's see, where's Monday? 15, 14, 13. The 11th is Monday. Yeah, so here's Monday right here, was a nothing day. So we have the entire week encapsulated right here. And you can see we made no progress at all. We tried to go up, back down, tried to go up, held again. So, like I said, I'm not ready to say this is going to reverse into a bear market, but just understand what we're looking at here. Maybe the market's just taking a breath and eventually it'll pop higher. Entirely possible. But if you look at these previous corrective moves and what the market has done, it's really struggling here. And again, the other thing I said yesterday was the fact that these two, this candle and this candle, these two big bear candles, are very close together. So the sellers were able to push higher right here, but you can see then the buyers and the sellers came in and just whacked it right down again and took out 2 or 3 days of price action on one candle. And this is the 6-hour chart, by the way. All right, so it is definitely, to me, definitely a little bit of a concern if I was a bull here. But again, if we smash through here and we come up, take out this high, then, we're going to go higher. But I would just watch this right now. And again, it's kind of like watching paint dry on these markets, but on these time frames. But when you finally do get, what looks to be a solid entry, and it doesn't mean you have to enter on this time frame. I mean, if we go down to let's go to an hourly chart. I mean, here's all that price action on the hourly chart, right? And you can see prices try to come up here, was contained, try to come up again today. This is in the last couple hours. You can see this doji wicking off here. They're not letting price get past this level. So, if you wanted to be really aggressive, obviously can't do it today. You could sell it right from here, put your stop loss above this swing high right here and see what happens. And even if this just comes back down to the lower end here, that would be a possible good, good entry. So to the short side. But anyways, you don't want to get in the way of a moving freight train. So let's see what happens next week. But there's no doubt that the bulls are having some issues here. Here's the 15-minute chart. I don't know what you want to consider a swing point. Here's the 5-minute chart. I mean, is this the swing right here? Now we're kind of holding. Does this fail, or do we have this one down here? We got to wait for price to get down here. Again, this is only a 5-minute chart, so this wouldn't take long. Even though it looks like a far distance, it's a short time frame. So, I mean, you could definitely make an argument that the bulls are having some trouble in here. So, let's keep a close eye on cattle next week. And again, for hogs, I'm leaning bearish on that, but we'll see. Okay, Euro USD futures. Got into this really late. I talked about this yesterday, that as long as this area held, and it did. Unfortunately, a lot of this came during the London session, which is typical for the euro, because it's going to move a lot during the regular Forex session, London session. I did get in here only because on a shorter time frame there was a little pullback, and I do feel that price is going to eventually make it up into this red area. So I have a pretty limited stop loss, and I'm just going to hold it. If I get knocked out, so be it. But I'll look to target, somewhere, maybe put somewhere up in this area here around this liquidity zone for a potential profit, which is just eyeballing. It looks like maybe a 3-to-1. So even though it wasn't a good entry, I only took it because I do feel it is going to go higher, and we will head up at least towards this swing up here. So I'm going to hold that through the weekend. We'll see what happens. Crude oil, like I said yesterday, I was saying that this area up here needed to hold. We have equal highs here, which are often manipulated. Then we have another little zone above here. That's why I've got two lines drawn. So we're going to see whether this right here on the hourly chart turns out to be a higher low, because we came off this low, tried to come down, failed, went up again back towards this area. You can see it rejected off of here. But again, this area is often manipulated where sellers will try to come in and push prices lower, and they were able to push it lower, but you can see it's stalling out around this 1 hour swing here. So this is pretty critical area here. If this area holds and we start to move higher again, on a shorter time frame, here's the 15-minute, and you borrow this. Here's the 15-minute. If we come up here and take out this swing on the 15-minute, you can see we were putting in lower lows, lower highs here on this move down off that level. If we can now come up here and take this area out, to me that will probably be a bullish sign for crude oil. But if this area here fails on this hourly chart, or this is the 4 hour, if this area fails on the hourly chart, then we'll probably continue the downtrend and take out this low right here. So again, kind of a little bit of a wait and see on this. But again, to me, I'm looking for either this zone to be broken to turn more bullish, or have this larger zone here broken to continue the bear trend. So obviously, again, not trading it right now. I was in a trade on this short. I closed out at about break even because I didn't like the way it was looking, and I'm glad I did, because I'd be in more of a loss now looking at this. So I was hoping we would get a breakthrough here today. It was a little aggressive. Didn't happen, so I closed it out. It was basically a break-even trade, and so now I'm just going to wait. So next week, my on crude oil will be to watch these lows down here to see if we get any kind of break lower through this zone, which would continue the downtrend, or are we going to continue to move up? And I think if we start breaking structure on this 15-minute chart, we could get a move higher, which would confirm a higher low right here. That this becomes a swing, and then we start to move higher. And certainly, if we end up again clearing out any of these old swing areas in here and get above this line, then we're definitely going higher. So, all right, so that's kind of how I view that. Euro USD, this is the same pretty much as the futures chart. So this is Forex. I'm not going to really dwell on that. I just talked about the euro. And this is dollar yen, which could be kind of like opposite of the euro dollar, although it's not exact. Dollar Swiss would probably be more opposite, because this is the yen versus the yen throwing its weight into there. And not particularly thrilled with any of this, but again, much like what we're looking at with cattle, or was it hogs, whatever, we have this swing. This was our recent 4 hour swing, and then we've got this low down here. All right, so we'll get rid of this line. So basically, we were going down, and this is the swing that I'm kind of watching. And so we started to pull up, we went down again, and then we pulled up again, and now we're just kind of dying out here. So I would say mildly bearish on the dollar yen, which would make sense against being bullish, at least short term, on the Euro USD. If we want to look at, let's look at the dollar Swiss, that is more about the opposite of the Euro USD. And I think this is pretty inconclusive. Um, but again, we've got, if we're talking about bearish here, we have this swing, came down, took out structure, pulled back, and now starting to move lower. And we've kind of, died out here late in the day. But ideally, if you're a bear, then you're going to want to see some kind of movement up here and then continue this down. So that would make sense. The other thing you can look at is the dollar index, which I don't have up here, but I guess we can bring it up. DXY, US dollar index. Let's find like a reputable. Now we'll use this one right here. Find a reputable feed on that. No. Okay, we can't do that. Let's try a different one. DXY. We'll try this one maybe. There we go. So this is the dollar index. So we're looking at just the dollar index. Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see we're in a downtrend. Just basically, again, looking for the most recent swing, which was up here, lower high. This is a big wick here, but, it ended up closing back down here. So we'll consider this a lower high, lower low, lower low. And then, we'll probably move for some kind of pullback here and then a potential push lower. So that does kind of, in a way validate euro dollar long and dollar yen short, etc., etc. So like I said, I'm going to hold this through the weekend. All right. So I guess I'm just going to wrap it up there, guys. And hopefully that makes sense. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And like I said, if you have any questions or thoughts on this yourself, if you're trading something different and you want to get a different look at it, or, have me take a look at it and give you my thought on it, feel free, drop it in the comments, or anything else you want to talk about, that's cool. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave it there. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. All right, thanks.